Hello everyone, and welcome to Biopedia. Last time, we discussed communities and changes which happen in them across either time or space. During that episode, I hinted at the fact that there were historically two different views on how succession worked, and what the driving process behind this was. So today, let's examine that. Specifically, we are going to be looking at the difference in opinion between Frederic Clements and Henry Gleason. First up, Frederic Clements, who was an American botanist. He adopted a school of thought known as organicism, which was first used to describe societies by Lester Frank Ward and Herbert Spencer. His opinion was that communities of plant life acted as more of a collective superorganism, cooperating to move towards a final stage of succession. This superorganism went through the stages of succession in a similar manner to the development of an organism, with a beginning, middle, and end like an organism's life. In Clements' model, succession passed through ideal seral stages on its way to completion. So, this idea that communities act as organisms in their own right in a sense, rather than lots of individual organisms, is thus the Clementsian school of thought. Contrast that with the opinion of Henry Gleason, who initially started out studying within the Clementsian school of thought, but began to doubt this organismal concept from about 1918 onwards. He ended up believing that looking at communities through the lens of them being one organism was wrong, and that it ignored the fact that species responded to the conditions around them on an individual basis. So, instead, the Gleasonian model holds that communities consist of the sum of lots of different random changeable conditions, acting on the species within the community. What this means is that communities are the result of a certain time and place which makes them functionally unique. So, just to summarise all of that briefly, you could say that Clements believed communities were on a clear and predictable path towards a climax community in the style of a superorganism developing. By contrast, Gleason maintained that communities were the sum of random events and couldn't be predicted that easily. The criticisms of Clements' model by Gleason was apparently largely ignored until the 1950s, when results from scientists such as Robert Whittaker began backing up his argument. From that point on, models which focused on individual species rather than the community as a whole became more prevalent. Now, the models of Gleason and Clements are apparently on the extreme ends of the scale in terms of considering how succession works. In truth, elements of both schools of thought are reflected in the results of studies throughout the last 100 years. As always, thank you all for listening. For any questions, comments, or topic suggestions, feel free to get in touch at the show's email address. Until next time, have a great week, everyone.